I'd like to take a moment to talk about what we mean when we say servant leadership and what it means to be a servant leader. So, servant leadership is this other oriented approach. It's about being completely focused on the followers as part of the leadership expertise. The focus is on others. The service is the reason for leadership. It's about followers and about other people, not about the leader or the leader's organization. The behaviors that we see from servant leaders are to empower and develop people, expressing humility, authenticity, interpersonal acceptance, and stewardship, and providing direction. And what I want to make clear here is it's classically understood that leaders provide direction, monitor, and evaluate. And for a servant leader, the process of providing direction, monitoring, and evaluating follower outcomes is all about the followers. The reason we provide direction is to help followers achieve their goals. It's not necessarily about the mission accomplishment of the organization overall. Servant leadership really came to fore after Robert Greenleaf's The Servant as Leader, and this idea of the leader making themselves subservient to the needs of the follower. You see this even today in things like Simon Sinek's Leaders Eat Last. And overall, I think servant leadership is a great idea, especially in getting into our minds that taking care of our followers is really important. I'll be honest, where I think servant leadership falls down a little bit is there still needs to be a focus on accomplishing the mission and on getting the job done. And as we've said over and over in this class, it's really a balance of the two. It's about having effectiveness as a leader in terms of mission accomplishment, as well as maintaining a viable team and taking care of your people. That these two things should be in balance. I find that servant leadership is a great way to explain to people who are a little too focused on the mission and aren't really considering the effects on their people, the importance of putting their people ahead of themselves. At the same time, an over-reliance on servant leadership is to ignore those effects. So again, we've studied servant leadership, servant leader characteristics, again, empowering and developing people, humility, authenticity, interpersonal acceptance, providing direction, and stewardship. Now, if we talk about what brings about a servant leader, certainly at the personal level, having a need to serve as well as a motivation to lead are going to come together to bring about a servant leader. And there are individual characteristics, such as self-determination, being morally cognitive, and having that moral cognitive development over time, and having ability to think kind of more broadly about life in themselves. And you'll see here already we have a lot of overlap with some of the other leadership theories in terms of believing that you have control over your own actions and that people should, and having moral cognition. Some situational influences that bring about servant leadership, power distance. The closer people are in terms of power distance, the more likely they are to be servant leaders. And having just a humane orientation of the culture of the organization in which you are. So again, these are some situational influences. Again, you can start to see some overlap with ethical leadership and some other ideas. The outcomes of servant leadership are just what you would expect. A psychological climate of trust and fairness, where teams really feel like they can trust their leader, and they have good quality relationships. People respect their leader, they have loyalty, their commitment to the leader and to the organization. This has various distal outcomes such as better job attitudes, commitment, job satisfaction, engagement, better performance, both in terms of really, this does bring about better mission accomplishment and team effectiveness, and more organizational citizenship behaviors, which is followers engaging in the organization, putting the organization ahead of themselves. At the organizational level, we find that servant leaders lead to organizations that are more sustainable and enact corporate social responsibility. Now, you can see there's maybe a little bit of overlap there with those are also the organizations where we are more likely to see servant leaders. So there is kind of this cyclical effect maybe where an organization that values taking care of their people and treating them in a servant-y kind of way are also going to be socially responsible organizations that have a lot of integrity and strong values that are then going to bring about more servant leaders. And again, you see a lot of the overlap with ethical leadership here about putting your people ahead of yourself and building this trusting relationship with them.